Greetings, everyone. This is I'm Right.
I'm right.
I'm Jill Cox Cordova.
I'm Anthony Cordova.
Hi.
How you doing, Jill?
Great.
Are you sure?
No,
You should be sure.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at your T-shirt. Does it say CrossFit Etowah?
Yeah, but we don't want to talk about CrossFit
Why not?
because that's a controversial topic because the founder was doing things he wasn't supposed to do. Not of this particular CrossFit gym, but CrossFit in general. So
Oh.
I only wear this shirt around the house. Not that I go anywhere, because I still don't go anywhere.
Okay, I was just curious. I've been.
But for a while, I did try CrossFit.
Yeah. Okay. Did you like it?
It was interesting.
Okay. All right. Well, we should get to our episode today, don't you think?
Yes.
And what is our episode?
We're calling it Love and Loneliness.
Love and Loneliness.
Part of a segment that we call
Stand by your stance.
So you go first.
You know, I will go first. I will.
Good.
And the reason I'd like to go first is because I actually came up with this topic.
Yes, as you often do.
And Jill and listeners, I want you to know, she fought me on this one.
I did. I said, I know about love, but I don't know about loneliness. So what could I possibly say about loneliness? But then I came to my senses.
Well, love and loneliness. I think this is a very serious topic, actually. So we all know about love. There's romantic love, and there's love you have for your family, and there's love you have for your friends. And if you're really a wonderful person, you have love for mankind, your fellow.
So meaning enemies too?
Yes.
I'm not there yet. I'm trying, but I'm not there yet.
So usually when people think of love and loneliness, they think about a romantic relationship, and that maybe they don't have that, that partner.
Right.
And which is very important. And in order to obtain that, you have to be open to love. You have to make yourself vulnerable and open yourself up to someone in order to have that special relationship. So you might get hurt. Okay.
But wouldn't you say that's true of all relationships? You have to kind of open yourself up to have any kind of relationship.
That's right. But that is exactly what I'm getting to. So the same thing you need to do to have a romantic relationship, you also need to do that to have that close relationship with your family. Okay. You also need to do that to have that relationship with your friends, close friends. Now, many of us believe that maybe a lot of us walk around thinking, "Oh, I'm not lonely. I have plenty of things going on in my life. I have my job. I have my household and my partner, and I do many things outside the house. I play tennis at the tennis club. It's all these things a person can do to convince themselves that they're not lonely. So having people around you does not necessarily mean you're not lonely.
True.
And the issue with that is that you haven't opened yourself up to these people. So you have filled your life with so many other things that you haven't opened yourself up to that real relationship that you can have with maybe a friend.
But you and I, we're both Sagittarius, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Sagittarians are well known for not liking people. So
I don't think that's accurate.
It is accurate.
I don't think that's accurate.
It is accurate.
No.
If a person who is Sagittarius calls you a friend, be glad, because for the most part we do not like people.
Well, I like to say that we're loners.
Yes, we are.
Yes,
that's because we don't like people.
That doesn't necessarily mean we don't like people.
We like some people.
I love people. So now,
I do too.
So
some people, but we're very selective.
Yes.
So you're not saying to open yourself up to everybody, are you?
No. You have to choose carefully, but you will not be able to find that close friend or that close relationship with a family member if you don't open yourself up.
So how do you do that? Why would you do that?
Because as human beings, we actually have a natural need to have that human connection with other people.
I do agree with that.
So when we don't do that or don't try to obtain that, we kind of shut ourselves off from the world.
True.
Which is also not a good thing.
But then again, you shouldn't open yourself up to everybody.
But that's why you talk, you listen.
I like to listen more than I like to talk, believe it or not.
You determine who might be a good friend with you. So let's say it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman and your significant other has passed away. Okay. So that person was your friend and your lover. Okay. So let's say you're at the age where you don't think you necessarily need another life partner, but maybe you do need to have some close companionship and friends in your life.
Sure.
So how does a person do that?
You have to open up.
Is the question. That's right.
But how do you do that?
Well, you have to be open, like I was saying earlier, and open to love. So when you have a friend relationship, you actually do have to have love for that person.
Yes, to me, that's the difference between loving a person and being in love.
Yes, you have to have love for that person, and you have to have empathy for that person and compassion for that person, and vice versa. See, it has to be reciprocated.
Yes,
by that person.
Yes, definitely.
But if
otherwise, they're just zapping everything from you.
Yes. So, and the other thing, to obtain that, you have to be a positive person. So positive, open.
So two negatives
loving.
Can't get together?
No, disastrous.
For everybody else, yes.
No, it's disastrous. it's actually disastrous for themselves.
But we all know some negative people.
I know.
And they might be with people.
The negative people get with negative people. It's disastrous. They never accomplish anything positive.
But if you're a negative person, how do you attract or get with a positive person? Wouldn't the positive person turn, at least I would.
It's
like, I don't know, that's too much negativity for me.
Right. So maybe if the negative person is open, they'll begin to turn into a positive person.
Or but do they just pretend till they get you?
I don't know.
I've experienced that.
So
they pretended to be positive, and then when they thought they had you, they became, the most negative people I've ever met in my whole life.
But here's the thing with friends. You can cut them loose. Okay.
You can cut lovers loose too.
That's exactly right. But a person will lead a more fulfilled life if they do have some friends in their life and don't isolate themselves. Many of us.
But negative people are draining.
They are draining. Yeah, you don't want that.
I know.
I don't want any negative people in my life.
That's right.
So the listeners have heard me say on the podcast that I have love for all of you.
You do say that.
Even the ones that don't like me.
You do say that too.
I still have love for them.
And how is that possible?
Because I have love for mankind in general. I treat everyone the same.
That's why people like you better than me. Because I'm not there yet. That's why. I finally get it.
So, listeners, I got to tell you something. So, when I asked, hey, call in for anything, I don't care what it is, call in for anything. My best means of communication is to hear your voice.
Yes.
That's my best means. I don't communicate well through text or emails, but for me, if I can hear your voice, that gives me a good connection to you. So what I'm saying when I do this, hey, come on, call in. I want to hear your voice. I want to communicate with you, even though it's through a voicemail. It's a way for me to make that human connection for me. So it's different.
Are you looking for looking to hear something specific when in someone's voice?
Yes.
Like what?
Well, I don't know. You know how sometimes you hear a person's voice and you will say, wow, that really sounds like a kind person. And sometimes you'll hear a person's voice and you'll sense anger in their voice. So
true.
So these,
or they might be truly down. You might understand that they're in a bad place right now.
That's right. They may be,
even though the words
dumps.
may be opposite of what they're.
Yes. So they may be in the dumps and need somebody to talk to.
Yes.
So this podcast that we have is a chance for us as human beings to connect to each other, especially during COVID. Because whatever issues they had with the lack of friends in their life or people to communicate with was made much worse during COVID.
Yes.
So, I think we need to use what we have to connect to each other.
Agreed.
And some is this podcast. I've said on the last episode, I would really like to do a Zoom meeting with our listeners. I would like to get some input to see whether they would like that also.
We should schedule that.
We should. But before we schedule it, I would like to get some input from our listeners of whether they would like to do that also, because I would hate to set up the Zoom
and nobody shows
up. Yes. So I need to make sure it's worth our while, it's worth our while to do that. But I believe it would give us an opportunity to make better connections with our listeners
and for them with each other.
Yes, and
because
that's right.
The listeners we tend to hear from, we know them, they know us, but they may not know each other.
Correct. And again,
and we would like to know listeners that we never met.
That's right. And again, it's another way to establish friendships, to make us all a little more connected to each other, which is very important in this day and age, in these times.
Yes.
For us to do things like
that. Well,
I
admit it did warm my heart that when COVID restrictions, when people paid attention, I will say, to the COVID restrictions, a lot of people don't now, but when everybody did, it warmed my heart to see that people looked for the platforms to connect with their family members, their friends, whatever, right? Like, I had been doing Zoom since, I don't know, 2017, 2015, right. Actually. 2015, I had been doing Zoom. And then to see that everybody was using it to connect, or some platform like it, really warmed my heart, because it did exactly what you're saying. It showed that people wanted to connect with each other.
Yes.
And we were put in a situation where we couldn't just go and talk to that person. Or maybe it was people were connecting with people they didn't normally talk to.
Exactly.
So that does warm my heart.
Yeah. Now, did we do a family Zoom meeting?
Yes. Over Labor Day weekend.
We did.
We scheduled, and interestingly, it was our first for all those particular family members to come together as one. So we found ourselves introducing family members to family members, because, you and I, having been married, there's your side of the family, there's my side of the family, but they hadn't all met.
Yeah.
So, but it was wonderful just to see what everybody was doing, to see each other, and to meet new family members. Right.
And some of the younger family members I really, really enjoyed.
Yes.
That they logged into the Zoom meeting.
Yes.
Because it did give us a way to have better connections, and not only better connections, because I tell, my side of the family all the time, my closest siblings, that, I love them, because we are relatives, but I also like them. They are also my friends.
Yes.
So they can be both.
Yes, I like my family members too.
If you're open up to do that. So when the younger family members chime in, I also want to make that same connection with them.
Yes.
But these are all things, they're small things, but we have to make ourselves vulnerable to receive them. And sometimes somebody's going to hurt you. You'll open up yourself,
including family. Yes.
That's right. You'll open up yourself, and they'll hurt you. They'll say something, do something to hurt you, maybe intentionally, maybe unintentionally. But you have to be willing to experience that pain, because if you're not willing, you'll never get any benefit from opening yourself up.
True. Because as much pain as I've endured, we've all endured pain and breakups and things like that in our lives. But I do believe it made me a better person and more knowledgeable about what I actually need, not just my wants, but what I actually need.
Yes.
So those horrible experiences, taught me that.
Yeah.
So I don't regret them.
Yeah. And let's take I just thought about older couples.
Older like us?
No, older than us. They would call us youngsters.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So they've spent their whole lives together. They've raised their children. Their children are grown, and they still live together. They love each other, but they don't have that friendship connection. And I'm not saying that every couple has to be best buddies, kind of like we are. I'm not saying they have to, but they still do need that friendship connection. So they have to be willing to look outside for that friendship connection, not the romantic love connection, but that friendship, that love and friendship connection, to keep their life fuller and more fulfilled. Because a person can become depressed over time when they don't have that. They don't really have a friend to talk to, a friend to laugh with, friends to do things with. and their life begins to, in my opinion, darken. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
So,
well, there are some people who will give up their friends for a relationship with their lover, but their lover isn't their friend either.
That's right. So they do themselves a terrible injustice.
Yes, they do. I feel blessed in that I have friends. Mm-hmm. I still have the same friends I had before you and I met. Mm-hmm. And so I feel blessed to have them in my life. Mm-hmm. But I also, you are my friend too. So I feel blessed to have that too. But I think having you as my friend was the result of being in a relationship where my lover was not my friend. In fact, I resent it. I ended up resenting that he treated his friends better than he treated me. Uh-huh. And so I thought, well, if I were just his friend, maybe he would treat me better, you know? Mm-hmm. And so I ended up, once you become lovers, I think it's really hard to go back to being friends. If you were never friends, then you certainly can't have that now. So it was better for me to just let go altogether, but I think subconsciously I realized the next person I get involved with, they're going to be my friend too.
Thanks.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah. So, with all of that, and I know you brought up how Sagittarians, you keep saying, don't like people.
We don't.
I like to say we're loners. I don't.
I am a loner. But by loners, I define what you mean by loners, because I think sometimes that gets a negative connotation.
Well, by a loner, I mean if I'm by myself for days. Okay, going, I'm doing my work, I'm doing everything, but I'm by myself and I don't have interaction with friends every day or every week or every month. Okay. I'm okay with that, which means
you're okay with time by yourself.
Yes. So I'm very good with time by myself.
So am I. But people say that's because I grew up as an only child, but I just like time with myself.
Yeah, well, you're a little different, Jill, because I have to keep reminding you that I don't want you to become a hermit. And you'll say, what's wrong with being a hermit?
Just because I don't like going outside doesn't make me a hermit. It's
not just going outside. So sometimes, getting back to me, which applies to you also, sometimes I will say to you, Jill, I'll say, hey, we need to interact with some people. People that we consider to be friends. We need that. So you and I can go a lot longer than many people without interacting with our, what we call close friends. But we still consider these people close friends, even though we don't see them all the time and talk to them all the time, because we have that connection. It's like having a connection with your family that you don't see for a while, but when you get back together, you're good. It's like no time has passed.
Right. You just pick up where you left off.
Yes. But even I will say, hey, it's time I have that connection to kind of fill my soul, to complete myself.
Yeah, you're more likely to say that before me.
Yes. yes, I am. So people.
But it doesn't mean that I don't like to talk to my friends or whatever.
No. It
just means that
we're okay.
I can go a long time without talking to anybody.
Yeah, we're okay with alone time.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's get to our second segment that we call
Give It a Rest and a Resolution.
Do you have a conclusion resolution?
A conclusion resolution. I'm still confused by this segment. It's been a year.
This was your idea.
It's been a year and a half, and it still confuses me because quite often my conclusion is something that I've already said.
Okay, so restate it
throughout the episode.
Restate it.
So I guess I want to say that listeners, please try to remember how important love is and how it can affect your loneliness. That's why I wanted to call this Love and Loneliness. So if you don't put that love out there, if you don't put out love, you can and probably will end up lonely. So remember to put out love.
Well, my conclusion is very similar to that, is that we often, whatever we put out, that's what we often receive.
That's good advice.
That's my conclusion. We're not at the advice.
We're not advice.
Well,
yeah,
but
that's
now,
your conclusion. That's
but now
conclusion.
We are. Let's get to our third segment that we call
I'm trying to help you.
Do you have any advice?
So don't you have advice?
Well, according to you, I just gave it.
And what was it? Do you remember?
Whatever you put out, that's what you often receive. But my advice would be, I guess, since you often say I have hermit tendencies, my advice is to remember that we all need someone in our life, whether they're a friend, lover, or whatever.
Exactly.
We are not meant to be here alone.
Correct. I guess my advice is, remember, if you are a lonely person, that you bear some responsibility in your loneliness.
Ooh, they're not going to like that.
You do. A person bears some responsibility in their loneliness because they are not doing what they need to do to help themselves not be lonely. So, which
what
goes
if they
back
like
to
being lonely? Does anyone like being lonely? I think not.
I think not.
If they're honest with themselves.
That's right. I think they may say, "Oh, I don't care. I don't need anybody," but that's not accurate. We all need somebody.
Every now and then.
Yes.
There are some situations where I will often, how people say there's no I in team. And yes. I would always reply, there is an M and an E.
Yeah. Oh, and one more thing. And I've said this, and I'm going to say this. I've said this before. There is no such thing as a frenemy. No.
Oh, I say that
frenemy.
Too.
None.
Either they're a friend or an enemy.
That's right. They're one or the other. You don't.
I often say that. I hated that word.
In between limbo thing, because if a person is a frenemy, they're not doing you any good.
They're truly an enemy.
Yeah.
Pretending to be a friend.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
So frenemies, beware.
Be gone.
Yes, we're on to you.
What do you say, Jill?
Satan, be gone.
Satan, be gone.
That's right. I do say that. Gets rid of people real quick, too, when you say it to them.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. If you say it to me, I'm out. Gone. But Tony, why'd you leave me? You said, Satan, be gone. I'm out. I don't need to be around.
You're not Satan.
Okay.
Well, let's get to our last segment that we call.
So, what do you think?
What do you think? Because I'm right.
Because I'm right.
So you started this whole episode by saying you wanted to hear from listeners more.
And I still do. I really needed listeners. Please, I'm begging you. Please call in, chime in on anything you want at area code 404-594-2247. Please.
Yes. Because really we're doing this podcast for listeners.
And
right?
ourselves. Yes.
So, all right. Well, you've been listening to I'm Right.
I'm
Jill Cox Cordova.
I'm Anthony Cordova.
Shout out to Gifford Ivan Cordova III for the music. Nick Zinke for the art. And thank you, listeners, especially if you choose to call in. And we hope you make that choice.
Yes.
Especially if you're lonely.
Yes. And please let us know if you'd like to do a Zoom meeting with us.
Yes.
Because we would love to do it. But we need to have enough people to do it. We need to know.
Okay. So say bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.